I think actually the same thing, though, would boost gold as a monetary metal, and it should boost silver as well. And then which way silver does there, I don't know. At the end of the day, I think history tells us that when this bull market is looked at clearly in the rearview mirror, silver will probably have outperformed gold on a percentage gain basis, and it's extremely bullish. But I have to say, I feel safer in gold. Like there's just complexities with silver, and I don't just mean the volatility. I do mean its industrial side that I just don't have to worry about with gold. So I really think that, even the most diehard silver bulls in the world, they ought to make sure they have a gold line into their portfolio as well.
Lobo Tiggre believes that if silver consolidates in the $36 to $37 range or continues its upward trajectory gradually, it will send a strong bullish signal to the market. Historically, silver rallies have often formed a sawtooth pattern, spiking to new highs only to retrace quickly. If that pattern fails to materialize this time, it could reflect a significant shift in market behavior, potentially signaling a new phase for silver's long-term performance. On Wednesday, silver experienced a notable drop in early trading but later rebounded, showing renewed buying interest. Following the recent breakout above a significant resistance level, the market is seeking its next trading range. This behavior is typical after a strong surge, as traders reassess entry points and price floors. The $35.48 level remains a key area of support. This level had previously acted as a significant resistance barrier before the breakout. As long as prices remain above this level, the technical setup favors a continuation of the rally even if the price dips below. However, broader factors could challenge the momentum. Easing trade tensions between the US and China may reduce demand for safe haven assets, including silver. Unlike gold, silver lacks institutional demand and isn't included in Basel III regulations. Central banks are not accumulating silver the way they are stockpiling gold, which limits silver's role as a monetary hedge. Tiggre urges caution despite the breakout. While the recent price action is encouraging, he emphasizes that silver is still primarily driven by retail interest and industrial demand. Investors should remain optimistic yet grounded, recognizing that silver's path forward may be less predictable than gold's, even in the face of favorable technical and macroeconomic indicators. Make sure to tune in for our expert analysis. Don't miss out on future content. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to stay in the loop. Your support is greatly appreciated.
It's not just looks like it's breaking out. It has broken out. I mean, this is 13-year high. And the context for that is, these are prices we haven't seen since, the collapse after the $50 run last time. So this is a big deal. On a nominal rate, there are a couple potential, if I'm not a technical analyst, but, from a broad strokes kind of perspective, there are a couple of places in the mid 40s that could be seen as a resistance, but not really.
Right.
I really don't see a lot of resistance until 50, and that's just nominal. You adjust that for inflation, of course, and it's much higher. So it is exciting, and it has broken out from where it's been. It's been stuck in a range for a while. So this move is already significant, whatever happens next. And bear in mind that most of the silver mines operating in the world, they were built assuming, $15 silver, that sort of thing. And okay, costs have gone up, but all but the crappiest miners have been doing better in the current silver environment. So that's one thing to say is like, we already have a significant breakout. We have already been in a price regime that has been good for all but the crappiest miners. And so, it looks very good. To answer your specific question, where it goes next, I really think we need to give it a bit of time. If it stays on the trajectory it's going, it doesn't have to go, right up way to 40 or whatever. But if it stays in 36, 37, if it continues to head higher, consolidates here even before its next move, I think that's very, very bullish. If it breaks down, like if we hit this and then just like, the other times that, like the last time it kissed 35, whoa, went back down almost to 30, right?
All right.
So that's been the sawtooth pattern of this market. And this is actually, I think, important as not a TA, but just as a market observer. It's been a very sawtooth pattern. The last few times it's hit a new or a recent high, it has backed off right away. So if it doesn't do that this time, it says something is different this time, and in a good way, right? Not in a fantasy way.
Right.
So I don't know what's going to happen this week, and I wouldn't believe anybody who told me they did. But I do think it's very important. So if it doesn't back off from here, if it sticks here and even struggles higher, I think that's very, very bullish. It suggests to me that there's a new buyer here, or to give credit where due, my fellow Puerto Rican Peter Schiff, he thinks that there's pair trades unwinding, people that are long gold, short silver, or maybe even, long Bitcoin, short silver, that sort of thing, that are being unwound, and maybe some shorts are being covered, that sort of thing. I don't know that we'd even know that in hindsight. I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just saying I don't know. I don't have a grand theory. I'm just a market watcher saying the last few times we've had a breakout like this, smackdown, Mr. Slammy's been next. So nobody wants to hear Mr. Slammy's coming next. Call me Darth Silver if you want to. I'm not predicting Mr. Slammy. I'm just saying, he's made his appearance each time after this. If he doesn't, then I think that's going to be great news. Well, it really boils down to, I mean, there's a lot, but the one that can really summarize it all, I guess, is believing your own bullshit. It's fine. Sorry, it's just being. I'm answering the question. All right.
No, that's true.
I mean, it's fine to have a bull thesis, and it's great to think, silver's been, just to continue on the silver theme, that it's been suppressed, it's been manipulated. There's all these problems. And now, if the shorts are disappeared, or if these guys are being forced to eat their shorts, that's great. This is it. It's going to the moon. It's fine to wish for that. It's fine to have bets on that, but to go all in, to really believe that story, it's one thing to have a thesis. It's one thing to have an explanation that makes sense to you. It's another thing to get a third mortgage on the house without telling your wife. This is the sort of thing that doesn't end well usually, right? So that and believing your own BS is what makes people do things like that. They're just so convinced. Oh, this is it. It's 13. This is it. When gold hit a 13-year high, it just didn't stop going. Well, that was gold, right? Silver isn't part of Basel III. Central banks aren't buying silver now the way they are gold. I'm not anti-silver, dear audience. I'm just saying the market is notably different, and you ignore that at your own peril.
In 2025, international gold prices have surged by 43.7%, driven by escalating demand for safe haven assets amid renewed tariff actions by Donald Trump and persistent geopolitical uncertainties. Silver, often more volatile than gold, has also rallied strongly, gaining 22.3% so far this year. While the magnitude of silver's rise is smaller in comparison, it remains significant and continues to draw interest from both traders and long-term investors. Silver is known for its sharp and sudden price moves. According to data from Samco Securities, in 17 historical instances since 2005, when silver broke out to new highs, its average returns over the following 3, 6, and 12 months were 5.2%, 13.3%, and 26.1% respectively. This pattern reflects silver's tendency to move quickly once momentum builds, offering aggressive upside potential over shorter time frames. On technical charts, silver is signaling a fresh breakout, and market participants are adjusting their positions accordingly. Investors looking to capitalize on the momentum can do so through various instruments such as silver exchange-traded funds, silver fund of funds, or silver futures on platforms like the MCX. These offer diversified or leveraged exposure to the white metal depending on risk appetite. The gold-to-silver ratio, a key indicator used to compare the relative value of the two metals, stood at 91.3 on Monday, its lowest level since April 2. This is a significant drop from the all-time high of 126.55 reached in March 2020. That previous extreme marked a pivotal moment for silver, which went on to double in price by August of that year. A falling ratio typically signals stronger relative performance from silver, suggesting that the metal may be in the early stages of a substantial move once again. Lobo Tiggre points out that in previous precious metals bull markets, silver has often outperformed gold in percentage terms. However, gold tends to offer greater stability, being less susceptible to economic swings. For this reason, even the most bullish silver investors should consider holding a portion of their portfolio in gold, what Tiggre calls a gold lining, to provide balance and protection during more volatile market phases. Let's get back to the interview.
Well, it's obviously bullish for monetary metals. I mean, this isn't anything original to me, but it's worth stressing that, Congress has been doing this for decades. I think my entire life. They always spend more now and balance the budget by promising cuts later. And the cuts later never happened. So I think it's inflationary. I think this is good for gold and silver. And despite my nicknames, silver is still a monetary metal. And even if we look at silver's industrial side primarily, inflation is good for anything that's necessary and in short supply, and that includes copper. So I've been saying this on a lot of interviews. It's not new, but it is the answer to your question here. What's going on now in Washington? It's either inflationary right away or even more inflationary later. I don't see I don't see a scenario where, I mean, even Elon Musk goes to Washington to cut trillions of dollars and leaves town after 150 billion. Not that that's not worth doing, but it's inflation or it's inflation. And that's good for commodities like copper and so on. It's good for monetary metals like gold. And if silver is acting like both, and I'm bullish on both of these metals, I got to be bullish on silver. You should mention that because just today the headline came across my virtual desk that Tom Massey, the one guy who stands up to Trump, has introduced a bill to audit Fort Knox.
Really?
And so fortunately, it's not just him, because if it was just him, we all know that Trump, he doesn't like being disagreed with, right? If I can put that politely. So, it would worry me if it was just Massey putting this bill in, but he's got a bunch of Republican co-sponsors too. So I'm hoping, and Trump himself has said, we ought to audit Fort Knox. He was, so hopefully he still thinks this is a good idea and he wants to go there. That would be great. And you know what? Even if all the gold is there and all, it still needs to be done. And the last time they did it, they said, oh, well, we audited like one of the vaults and the other vaults still were sealed. So we can assume that all that gold is there. Like, come on,
that's crazy.
Piece of paper on the door. You think that's going to stop somebody from stealing billions of dollars worth of gold? It's not like I think somebody snuck in the night and broke this away. But give me a break. A piece of paper on the door tells me that the gold's really there. That's not a freaking audit. Come on.
It's just
I think it needs to happen one way or the other. As an investor, if Trump shock really does cause a recession and there's a deflationary bout, the money helicopters are still in the sky. I really don't think the deflationary outlook is highly credible. Right. But is a short, sharp shock when people have an oh beep moment, you could see something like that, and that would hurt copper or create a buying opportunity, depending on you like. And it might hurt silver too because of its industrial side. I think actually the same thing though would boost gold as a monetary metal, and it should boost silver as well. And then which way silver does there, I don't know. At the end of the day, I think history tells us that when this bull market is looked at clearly in the rearview mirror, silver will probably have outperformed gold on a percentage gain basis, and it's extremely bullish. But I have to say, I feel safer in gold. Like there's just complexities with silver, and I don't just mean the volatility. I do mean its industrial side that I just don't have to worry about with gold. So I really think that, even the most diehard silver bulls in the world, they ought to make sure they have a gold line into their portfolio as well.
As market momentum builds, silver finds itself at a critical juncture, supported by bullish chart patterns, historical performance data, and growing retail enthusiasm. While gold continues to serve as the stabilizing force in the precious metals landscape, silver's dynamic behavior presents amplified opportunities, albeit with heightened sensitivity to external shifts. Whether driven by macroeconomic disruptions or sudden shifts in investor sentiment, silver's potential for rapid gains remains compelling. However, the absence of institutional backing introduces a layer of unpredictability that investors must navigate carefully. As traders position for potential upside, maintaining a diversified stance could prove key in managing volatility without missing out on growth. Will silver's breakout evolve into a sustained trend? Or will shifting global currents test the metal's staying power in the months ahead? Share your perspective in the comments section. If the video resonates with you, join our community by subscribing to our channel and enabling notifications with the bell icon. Thank you for being a part of our community.